This is the day that we come not to praise Caesar, or to praise Rick, but to bury him. So I hope you're all ready for that. And we will start off with none other than past President Doug Rich, who is one of the more vintage members of the club, and becoming a member sometime in the past. So, and?
Well, Rick, Fairbrook, that's an interesting name. Sounds almost squeaky clean, doesn't it? So if you're going to join this lot of ruffians, you have got to work on your reputation a bit. So follow the fold and stray no more, stray no more, stray no more. Put down your bottle and say no more. Follow, follow the fold. Hey, Rick. Do you just want to take another swallow? And follow the fold and stray no more, stray no more, stray no more. Tear up your poker cards and play no more. Follow, follow the fold. Down to the meadow where the sun shines, out in the darkness and out of the cold. The cold of sin and of shame and degradation in which you wallow. So, follow the fold and stray no more, stray no more, stray no more. If you are a sinner, then you pray no more. Follow, follow the fold. Just to follow, follow the fold.
Now, some of you will recognize that as from Guys and Dolls, but it was the song that Sarah would sing while in the streets with the Salvation Army Band. And since Rick has some history with ringing bells in the Salvation Army, I thought that would be only appropriate to start off our meeting. Now, with invocation, another vintage president, perhaps more vintage than the last one, Rick Bedell.
Well, obviously there's a theme today besides Rick, but the Salvation Army. So I called Captain Aaron Ruff, and asked him a little bit more details about before I give the invocation, about the Salvation Army. And William Booth was an English Methodist preacher who, along with his wife, Catherine, founded the Salvation Army. The Christian movement was a quasi-military structure and government-funded in 1865, has spread from London to many parts of the world, and is known for being one of the largest distributors of human aid in the world. So then I asked, he sent me, I asked, would you send me something for a prayer? And this is what he said when he sent it to me. This is a portion of an address that William Booth gave near the end of his leadership of the Salvation Army. And it encapsulates the essence of our mission. I believe Rick lives out this same mission, same passion, fervor, and commitment in his own way through the service of the downtown Rotary Club, the Salvation Army of Yakima, and thereby impacting those who are in need of help and hope in our community. So let us pray. This is from William. While women weep as they do now, I'll fight. While children go hungry as they do now, I'll fight. While men go to prison in and out, as they do now, I'll fight. Where there's a poor lost girl upon the streets, while there remains one dark soul without a light of God, I'll fight to the very end. We are very grateful for Rick's leadership of our club this past year. May God look over Rick and Gay and give them good health, happiness, and peace. Amen.
Okay, Rick, that was the uplifting part of the day. That's your recognition of all the good that you've done during the year, and we'll have a few other comments to make during the course of this meeting. But first, we have a little Rotary business. One, are there any guests here today? Any guests? Anybody who wants to actually send Rick off as the past president? We have one. Yeah, one guest. And gay. I guess she counts. Yeah. And then we have another inevitable piece of Rotary business, which usually has happened several times, quite a number of times, in fact, during Rick's year, and that's the presentation of a blue badge. And I believe we have somebody in this audience today who's going to be trading in a red badge for a blue badge. Who would that be? Would that be Steve Gustafson? Steve, are you here? Yes, you are. Now, we'll have to see if Steve is really worthy. I think some of you will remember his introduction. It was done by Matt Morgan, and he very, very succinctly summed up all of Steve's great qualifications to be a member of Rotary. So I have a blue badge for him if he's going to turn in the red badge. And so we've got this one. Is that it? You're not Cal Bleffin? No. Oh, wait a minute. Let me see. Let me see. Are you sure? Do you have just? How about this one? Is that what yours?
No Joe Park.
No Joe Park either? Oh, well, what are we going to do? You have any identification?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Yeah, well, maybe it's this. Is it this one?
Yes, that's it.
Well, look at that. Look at that. I got it on the third try. Yeah, there you go. Do I get the red one back? Do you want to keep Cal Bleffins?
No, Cal.
No, you sure?
Yeah.
I can give you Jordan Matson's. I got that one too.
I'll take Jordan's.
You'll take Jordan's? You'll take Jordan's. There we go. Anyway. I think you all remember that Rick seemed to have a bit of a difficulty with colors and badges and whatnot, but somehow or another he always got the job done, and I guess that's the important thing. Just sometimes took a little longer than was supposed to. One of the other hallmarks of Rick's year was he believed in audience participation. So, therefore, this year we have energize, socialize, and personalize. I want, for the next 4 or 5 minutes, I want each of you at your table to come up with one agreed upon thing from each table about how you were energized, personalized, and some of you definitely needed socializing in this past year. So let's go for it, and I'll give you a few minutes, and let's see what you can come up with. The more embarrassing, the better. Okay. We are now looking for a table who has come up with a great comment about the last year related to, we got Brad, Kelly, and Jordan in the back. I'm not sure that that group is good to talk together, but you want to start? Or who wants to start? Yeah. We're getting Brad Hansen.
No, Jordan tried to throw me under the bus and make fun of me, so he's going to tell you.
No.
Thank you, Brad. I sure appreciate that.
Yeah. Jordan is known for his love of microphones.
So we all went to the auction, and that was a great event. And one of the things we were talking about that we enjoyed the most is how we were to really personalize and energize the Flory table at the auction. So the three of us got together and got the whole Flory table drunk by drinking a whole bottle of wine, so they were able to purchase a dog. And that's probably our best part about the Rotary auction.
That's true.
Right. That's right. And what's the name of this dog?
Tank.
Tank. And right now he's very well disciplined?
No.
And it's a golden retriever, you said?
Chocolate lab.
Oh, okay. All right, another table. Who else we got? Amy.
We double dipped the Energize and Socialize and put that under the umbrella of the very fun class reunion that we did this year. Remember that, everyone? When we came and we got to have a little taste of alcohol. It was an evening. That was a lot of fun. That's it.
Good. That's it? All right.
There's nothing
great.
to make fun of, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that energizes and personalized. Who? Roll. Dana. Dana Eliason.
Yes, indeed, and not to be mistaken for Dana, but
Somehow or another, I'm not sure that you could be, but
so our table really was energized by getting back together and attending more meetings than they had in the past because of COVID was behind us. But one of the things that really stood out was the fact that this year for the Fireside Scholarship Dinners, we had so many attendees. We had 169 people that signed up and participated in these dinners. And they asked me where this energy came from, but it was a magical team. It was Sony Alexander, Carolyn, and myself, and we all worked really well together. So guess what? We're going to do it again next year. But yeah.
all right, do we have anyone else? Anyone else who wants to show? Aaron over here?
Yeah, so this last year I've really enjoyed, you come to a Rotary meeting and there's maybe a level of small talk, and then the program starts and you're kind of barred from getting to know. But the parts of the program where we socialized in the middle and we talked amongst ourselves about whatever we were able to, I got more dirt on Rotarians. Actually, sans alcohol. We didn't even need that. In all honesty, I did appreciate that for being still a relative newcomer to this, to be able to get to know my Rotarians in that way.
That sounds terrific. And Aaron, I think myself and everyone else in this room who does fund development will go and talk to you afterwards. Blackmail is very successful at that. There was one other who raised their hand here a few minutes ago. I thought I saw, Mike.
So our table has really appreciated Rick's weekly newsletter via email. A lot of time and effort goes into those, a lot of thought. There's a lot of appreciation, a lot of recognizing folks in the club and keeping us all up to date to be better Rotarians. And so we really appreciated his effort on that, and that brought us together. So, thanks, Rick.
Thank you. All right, do we have anyone else? Anyone else who has a nugget of wisdom or memory to share? If not, we will call that segment of this program done and finished. But I really appreciate that, because actually what you have now done is stolen some of the things I was going to say later. And so now the good part about that is you're probably all going to get done very early. Because I think one of the things we all wanted to talk about was one of the great things that Rick had accomplished during the year, and I think getting back together certainly has brought us together, the socialization around the tables, and the various projects we've done during the year. And with that, I think we're going to move right into another vintage president, Charlie Eglin, who is going to do Sergeant at Arms. And this, today, you will see there's a certain theme here. We've talked about the Salvation Army. Aaron has been very gracious to bring the aprons and the bells from Salvation Army, and all your contributions today will go to the Salvation Army. So this will be just like Christmas in sort of July. So with that, Charlie.
Thank you, John. So the maximum fine for the Rotary is usually $2, but today we're going to do away with that limit. And all the money goes, like he says, to the Salvation Army. Let your conscience be your guide, and I understand some of you still have a conscience out there. I will start with a gift of $20, Doug, if you can take care of that. And if you do have a large bill and you would like change, we will have change for you at the 10th anniversary of today's program. And please see Harry Hellison at that time. Now, President Rick Fairbrook, what an outstanding individual. Rick was born on Easter Sunday. So if you celebrate Easter, please pay $1. Rick went to Willamette University in Salem, Oregon, a private out-of-state institution, very expensive, while his brother was sent to in-state public colleges. So if you have a sibling that was treated better than you, please pay $1. Now, Rick graduated with a degree in history. Rick, what exactly were you hoping to do with that? Huh?
Very good question.
Yeah. So if you graduated in a field of study totally unrelated to your career today, please pay $1. And speaking of history, Rick, when was the War of 1812? Okay. Okay. That's all right. That's been a long time since you went to college. Rick did not get into real estate by accident. His dad, John, was a civil engineer here in town, and actually all over the Northwest, I guess, and also sold real estate and did housing developments. And his dad's father-in-law was L.B. Andrews, who was a realtor here in Yakima, and I think they still have a company here today, right? That's you. Okay, there you go. And so if you followed a family member's footsteps into business, please pay $1. Now, Rick wasn't always this prim and proper. He traveled the world in his younger years. Rick would like to tell us about, would you like to tell us about your, the sandy beaches when you visited Greece?
That's a great story, but come see me after.
Okay, and so if you have some travel stories you prefer not to share with anybody, please pay $1. Because you're never going to hear this one from Rick. Now, Rick's family moved many times over the years due to his dad's many housing developments. And one time Rick came back to town to see his family and had no idea where the family lived. So if your family ever hid from you, please pay $1. Now, Rick and his wife, Gay, go back many years to Willamette University. They were both there at the same time but didn't know each other. They finally met after all these years and recently celebrated their 13th anniversary in Plain, Washington. If you've never been to Plain, Washington, pay $1. Now, apparently they went there to capture the, is there old buildings up there, Gay? What? that kind of stuff. So Gay likes things old. That's why she married Rick. In all seriousness, Rick is a very giving individual. He joined Rotary in 1982, I believe. Probably his favorite project, like we're doing here, is ringing the Salvation Army bells. If you've never stood in front of a store and rang bells for the Salvation Army, pay at least $1. So. Now, other board positions held by Rick over the years. The Wellness House, 6 years on their board. He was described as a calm and methodical leader. Isn't that hard to believe? If you haven't toured the new Wellness House facility at 6006 Summit View, please pay $1. And the next is the YMCA. Rick was board president from 2015 to 2017 and on the board from 2014 to 2020. He served prior terms on the board in the 90s and early 2000s, and I believe he served 5 terms in all on the YMCA board. So, if you haven't slid down the new water slide at the YMCA, please pay $1. And finally, the Yakima Board of Realtors. Rick's been a member there since getting into real estate, and he served on many committees over the years. Were you ever president? Of the MLS. Thank you for that. And so, my last request is if you've ever bought a house, please pay $1.
Thank you very much, Charlie. Again, I think we have somebody who's helped sum up a lot of the qualities that we have of Rick, and we've been fairly kind, and I think it's really hard not to be kind for Rick because of all the just what a great person he is, as well as all the contributions he's made to this community as well as to this club. So we're really happy to have him here. We also need to recognize that he, along with the other 2 clubs, has been the leader in a really great project that is about to come to happen. For one thing, this will be the lighting up of the playgrounds so they can be used more at night. And not only is he lighting them up, but he also had to work with the city of Yakima. And for all of those of you who've ever had to work with a government entity to get projects done, I think you should have been giving fairly large sums of money also. So, but in honor of that, we have our own troubadour, Doug Rich, who has perhaps made some revisions to the lyrics of a song that
Embellishment.
Appropriates this.
And you paid for the lights, got rid of the dark. In 3 of our parks, the skaters can see, the hoopsters can drain threes. All because you flipped off the dark and turned on the lights.
That is with apologies to Debbie Boone. But that's a great project, and again, along with all the other things that you've done this year, it's been one of the great things. The other part you've already come up with, the Imagine Rotary. You'll all remember those days when we sat here in tables in this room and walked from place to place and came up with a whole plan for next year. But there's one kind of outstanding thing. For 4 years, we did not have an auction. And we had an auction, but it was an online auction. And Rick brought back the fun of that, as well as the raising of the funds and whatnot. And there were all of you, I think, who were there. It took me about 3 weeks to get the red out of my hair. The sparkles are still kind of in the bathroom floor. They keep appearing, kind of like the sparkles in carpet when you use confetti. But there was a problem, I think, with that auction. And I think perhaps Kelly could speak to that.
Thank you, President John. So the auction, and it was brought up by Jordan, one of the best things that President Rick did this year in getting us all back to personalize, rotarize, socialize. Everybody got dressed up again, fancy, fancy, fancy. And, you know, Carolyn and her husband got drunk, and there were lots of highlights about this auction, believe me. But one of them that raised a lot of money, and this auction raised a lot of money. What was the official dollar amount this auction raised? You're still counting? That long? So, a lot of money. But one thing that really always raises a lot of money, as we know, and it was alluded to a minute ago, was when the gorgeous black chocolate. See, there you go. See, you bring out my past president mistakes as well. The chocolate lab that the Flories ended up bidding on and purchasing. But Rick, it didn't quite work out like that. We got an issue. And Carolyn's been keeping it a secret, and she hasn't said anything because it's Carolyn, and she's so nice, and she didn't want to say anything. But we got to talk, Rick. We got to talk. Usually a chocolate lab grows up to be a chocolate lab. But shortly into the new family member at the Flory house, things weren't quite coming out quite like they thought. And Carolyn called me and said, I think I gotta give the dog back. Chrissy, can you, Tank hasn't really grown up to be a tank. In fact, Tank hasn't grown up to be anything but a Dachshund. Not quite a tank. So, Rick, you're gonna have to take Tank back. I'm sorry. Yeah. Gay, you're thrilled. But thanks anyway, Rick. Carolyn said thanks anyway. And she doesn't want the money back either. Okay? Thank you, President Rick, for a wonderful, wonderful year. You've done a great job in keeping us moving forward and doing the kinds of things that we do, and as Rotarians for downtown, and I've enjoyed very much working with you. Congratulations.
I forgot to do the one thing I was going to do right in the beginning of this meeting, so I hope you're all ready for this. But I have I got the shirt. We're all ready, and Rick is also taking his clothes off. So there you go. Yeah, yay. We really appreciate all you've done, but even more so, before I turn the mic over to you, because we're going to let you at least have some opportunity to talk once more, as long as you're not giving out badges or auctioning off dogs or anything of that nature. But we also need to thank the person who actually did most of the work, at least at the home front, and that would be Gay. So, Gay, these flowers are for you up here, so we'll leave them here, but you can pick them up and they're for you to take home afterwards. The only caveat I will tell you is that last year at this particular time, when I was being roasted, nobody gave me any flowers. And so Carolyn is in disfavor right at this moment, but I think you're better looking and much more deserving. Anyway, so with that, let's have Rick. You get to make some final comments for your year before you join the rest of us, assuming Are the rest of the past presidents going to allow him into the exalted club? Okay, is there any discussion on this? We have to think about this carefully because he's going to get the secret handshake. No. Well, I think it's unanimous. Is it unanimous? Hey, all right, you made it. All right, Rick, I'm going to turn this over to you, and a few last words. It's kind of like, the last words of first men.
Well, thank you, John. I'm totally unprepared for this, but I do want all those bribes that you paid to the past presidents to be contributed to the Salvation Army Fund today. So all those bribes, please, into the bucket. It's been a great year, and a great honor to be the person who speaks from the microphone and interacts with 39 committee chairs and all of you members. One of the things I loved was being a greeter, actually, standing at the door and greeting each of you as you came in, getting to know your name and faces and making that connection. And I just hope that as we go forward that all of us consider becoming a greeter. Just a simple little thing to get to know each other and to make each other feel welcome in our group here. Rotary moments kind of been on my mind. Certainly, every time I got a yes from a committee chair, that was a golden moment. That was a Rotary moment. The auction was amazing. That was a Rotary moment because it took so many of us to put that together. And the co-chairs, amazing work that they did. So it's the people of the club. I stand up here and in front of you and speak and run the meeting, but it's all of you who make this club work and make it work so well. And hopefully we'll continue that as we go forward. The Rotary reunion was a Rotary moment. It was something new and different, and I actually saw some Rotary members I hadn't seen in years, so it was nice to see them come back. It was fun, and it actually created an opportunity for me that I've never experienced before. It's sort of related to the Rotary reunion. Right after that event, well, as part of that event, I went out and bought some balloons for decorations, yellow and blue, put them on the tables, and there were a bunch of extra ones, and I just stuffed them in my pocket. I left town the next day to take care of a couple of grandkids down in Stevenson, Washington, and there's supposed to be a playground there open, but it was closed when we got there. And so kind of wondering, how am I going to entertain these kids? Well, I had a couple of balloons in my pocket, so I pulled them out and blew them up, and we did blue balloon sword fighting and knocking them up in the air, and I would go over the picnic structure and run around and catch them. So it was just creative play. Took the kids back to Portland, went to San Gabriel Park in Portland, really nice park, really, really cool playground. And we were there kind of playing with the kids, and all of a sudden we heard this blood-curdling scream that just kind of went, whoa, what's going on? And it didn't stop. And so we went over to where it was happening, and this little girl was just screaming and unconsolably. And I kind of asked, well, what's going on here? He said, well, this little boy came up and popped her blue balloon. I reached into my pocket and I pulled out a blue balloon. Mm-hmm. I blew it up bigger than this. Maybe it's because I've blown it up 2 or 3 times already, and maybe I'm a little nervous. But I blew up a blue balloon, nice and big. And as soon as I started doing that, this little girl looked up at me like I was like I was a hero or a god. I mean, it was just this incredible feeling. She quieted down, handed her the balloon, and walked away. And that was, I couldn't have had that moment if I hadn't had the Rotary reunion, if I hadn't bought balloons, if we hadn't gone to Portland. So it's one thing I treasure and still remember. I want to thank my wife for staying with me this last year. And for all of the very kind, you guys are pretty guys and gals, excuse me, Kelly, were pretty kind. And I've enjoyed the year, and I look forward to next year under Erin's leadership. I just know it's going to be a great year, and she's just going to take us a little bit further. So, but don't forget, ESP, Rotary ESP, energize, socialize, personalize, and keep it going. Thanks very much.
And we all thought he was full of hot air, didn't we? Yeah. But you get another change, and actually, I'm not going to try to fool this. This is your actual past president. Sure? Yeah, I'm sure. Okay. I'm sure. Is this Rick?
Is it red or is it blue?
Is it red or blue? I don't. I am colorblind, so I'd be the one who's doing it. So there's this. You also have. Yes. No. You can. Yeah. And you also have your past president pin to wear, like I did today. So there you go.
Very nice.
And for your wall. So, past president.
Well,
so
you've done a much better job of handing off a badge than I
and from the convention center, this is what you really want. This is from the convention center staff.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
So, so again, thank you very much, Rick. Right. Bravo for a job well done. Next week, Aaron Black will be inaugurated as our next president of the club. On your tables, there's also literature about the Molly Davis Scholarship Barbecue, which will be at the new Rotary Marketplace on July 18th. And I hope all of you have great fireworks the rest of this weekend. And with that, we are adjourned.